Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, as you can see by the title, this is the third episode of Bass Nation TV. And the next guest that I have, I'm not really sure if I should introduce him because he really doesn't need introduction. So, I'm not going to make you guys wait any longer. Sharay, say what's up, man.
My name is Sharay Reed, from Chicago, Illinois. Let's see. That's pretty much it.
So, just a little bit about you. How you got started playing, how you became so funky.
Let's see, man. I started playing at 10 years old. I take you all the way back there, but I'll jump through quickly. I started playing upright at 10, and then I moved to like electric shortly after.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a tabletop drummer, so we used to like kick beats on the floor, the wood floor.
Right.
I went to in high school, I studied music theory, and all that stuff. And I got a chance to play with the Grammy All-American High School Jazz Band. That's kind of how I got launched into college. I got a college scholarship at DePaul University in Chicago. Yep, got my undergrad there. Studied with Larry Gray, upright teacher, phenomenal cello player as well. I got a call to play with Aretha Franklin while I was in college, but I turned it down so I could finish my degree. Glad I did. I ended up playing with her later.
Right.
So
yeah, it came back.
It came back.
That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
And I got my first break. I was actually going to stop. I was playing weddings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For a while since I was 17, and then I got kind of tired of that. So around like 97, 98, I was making a decision to kind of just do music as like a side thing, and I got a call to play for Yolanda Adams on her Songs from the Heart record. I did some upright on that.
Wow. Now, how old were you when this was happening?
Let's see. I would have been like 23, 22, 23.
Wow.
Yeah. So got that call, and then from there I started working with Percy Beatty, and I did a whole bunch of recordings with him. I played in this group called Youth Edition, and then that led me to New Direction. I did some stuff with them. And then that kind of led me into doing, stuff with everybody in gospel.
Right.
Donnie McClurkin. I was doing stuff with Kirk Franklin. I did the Hopeville tours. I did CeCe Winans Throne Room DVD tour. I did some stuff with Dorinda Clark. I did her Atlanta DVD.
Oh yeah.
I did some stuff with Marette Brown Clark.
Yep.
And just sprinklings throughout there. I did, play with, pretty much everybody in gospel music.
Now, let me bring you back to what you said before. You said you started around 10, you started on upright. Now, that's pretty different. I haven't really heard that kind of a story of starting on upright. So what kind of made you start at that early on a huge upright bass?
Well, see, that's what they did back in the day. Like, you didn't start on electric bass wasn't like, that was the thing that you did after, it was like they started you like back in the day. You learned upright, and you learned jazz and classical. That was like it was called legit. Both of those things were called legit. So so I started on upright, and I did that all through grade school, high school, college, even to this day. And but the cool thing about it was that when I finally came to start playing gospel, I've been so used to playing that high action on the upright that we started playing. They were playing shout music, and I just remember like they were doing like hyper speeds, and I could play forever because my hands were so strong.
You already had the training.
I was playing rhythm changes like at the same tempo. So it's like when I got to gospel, it was just like it was an easy transition for me. Like I do this already.
Exactly. That's how I played a little bit. And I didn't start like that. I started off on electric, and I really didn't even want to play in the beginning. But my dad kind of made me kind of pushed me towards it. But even then, I had a bass sitting around the house. And I was like,
You had an upright.
Sat around collecting dust, man. I was like, I
Okay.
didn't want to. I was young. I was like maybe 9, 10 years old. So a couple of years later, picked it up and never put it back down. I found a love for it. Started playing then, and then in high school, I kind of experimented with upright bass, and I, I kind of my experience with that is like that really trained my hand,
Mm-hmm.
especially my left. Because the action is so high on an upright bass. When I came back to electric, it's like, okay, this is actually helping me out. But I still love to play upright bass. I mean, the sound, you can't get anything like that. And I remember of something that Jocko said. He got his practice just from constantly playing
Yeah.
every single night, touring, constantly playing. Like, how do you build up your strength? Like, he didn't have a good
Right.
answer. He just said, I just played. You know what I
Seven
mean?
nights a week
Seven
playing on
nights a
beat.
week.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So doing that and having that type of experience that young, and on top of that, having Aretha Franklin, that gig, and then you turning it down, like that had to be brutal.
Yeah. Let me be honest. My parents turned down that gig. I did not turn down that gig. I was like, I
Okay,
want to leave. I
that
want to play.
that
So
makes more
I'm like
sense.
17. Wait, and I was like 18 years old. I'm like, man, I could be playing with the Queen of Soul,
Queen of
like
Soul,
now.
man.
So I was like, nah, I want to do that. But then, my dad, he's like, look, son, he's like, you'll have, you're 18.
Plenty of
It'll come
opportunity.
back. You'll have plenty of
Yeah,
opportunities,
I hear you.
you know. And so get your degree, get
Yeah.
your paper, and then, and it's funny. It came back. I mean, it came back like 20 something years later, but
Wow.
it was still amazing to just see, to just heed that advice at a young age, despite everything that was in me that was like, no, but to just listen to somebody that knew a little bit more than I did,
Of
and then
course.
to just see the fruit of that later, like, wow, I got both.
Exactly. What would you say helped you the most as far as your practicing, as far as your practice regimen, what you did to stay or to keep your skill up until 20 years later? You know what I mean? Like, what did you do?
One thing for me is I just tried to play as much as I could.
Mm,
Like I didn't really want to turn down anything,
yeah.
because I knew the type of player that I wanted to become, and I knew that I would have to play everything to be that player.
Right.
So I would take, free gigs, $25 gigs,
Yeah.
food chicken dinner
That
gigs.
was a hustle, man. That was a hustle back in the day.
It didn't matter.
Right.
I was just trying to play, and and then at the same time, just trying to take everything that I was doing and make what I was doing a better version of what I was doing.
Mm,
So,
understood.
it's like I started, we all start out, we have our heroes and the people that we try to emulate. And I did that. I grew up listening to Jocko and Marcus and Jamerson later on, but Steve Huff out of Chicago, and all these great players. But I always wanted to like take this. This is what they taught us early on. Back in the day, like they said, don't try to imitate somebody, but take what you can get from them and make it your own, and
Of
turn it into
course.
something else. You
Absolutely.
know, because
Absolutely.
that's what they did.
Yeah.
They all learned from their mentors and they turned it into their thing. And so that's what
Exactly.
I was trying to do, was just try to like make a better version of what I was doing. So, I would just be practicing and just trying to develop myself to be a better me.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. It's like if I play a lick or I play a line or something like that, I'll get messages like, I want to play like you. I want to play just like you." I was like,
Hmm.
"You won't ever play just like me. You can
Right.
try, but
Hmm.
everybody has their own voice." And we were talking before. I was saying that's why I emphasize the fact of being yourself, because nobody can sound like you no matter how much you try to imitate somebody else. I mean, and I've heard a couple of guys that literally play every single lick that I
Yeah.
would play, or every single bass line that I would play, but you still won't have that same exact sound. So
Right.
take from the people that you're inspired by, like you just said. Take from piece by piece, and start to add your own style and your favorite, and put your own style in there as well. That's more important, man, to just develop your own voice. and that's what would make you unique, instead of just trying to sound just like somebody. It's so funny because one of the videos and one of the performances that everybody knows you from has like millions of views on YouTube, and that is from like one of the concerts, I guess, in Chicago at a church, and you're playing the red Fender. You're just going, you just getting it in, man. I mean, that is like the most infamous video that most people refer to when they talk about Sharay Reed. It's like the most shared. Now, can you explain like what was going through your mind at that point? I know you know exactly what video I'm talking about, but it's just some crazy, funky Jamerson on steroids type of movements that you was doing. And it was crazy. I mean, the crowd was going wild after everything you did. I mean, it was just flawless, executed beautifully. Yeah, what was going on in your mind at that time? Was that just like a regular thing that you would always do?
No, man, that was the second year that we had done that. We had did one earlier, and I had a different bass. It was a Sunburst Fender, and we did that, and that led to the me doing the one, I think it was 2 years later or something, like 2006, around that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was like that. What's ironic is that song and that video is like one of the only videos from that night. And
That's crazy.
what people don't realize is that whole night was lit.